Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
We're here to start this Citizens Bond Oversight Committee meeting for September 8th. And we have a short announcement about the translation services available.
Buenas tardes. Estamos el día de hoy, martes, lunes 8 de septiembre, en nuestra junta de supervisión, el Comité de Supervisión de los Bonos de los Ciudadanos. Las personas que necesiten servicios de traducción, más adelante se van a poder conectar aplicando en el globo terráqueo y escogiendo el canal de español para que puedan escuchar esta presentación simultáneamente en español. Gracias. En un canal diferente. Gracias.
Okay. Interpretation services has to be got.
Who do you have online from the CBOC? Just Brendan
Brendan and Dulcie.
and Dulcie. Thank you. All right, it is, even though we started a few seconds ago with Spanish translation, it is 6:17 p.m. on Monday, September 8th, 2025. My name is Don Gosney, and I welcome everyone to the meeting of the West Contra Costa Unified Schools District's Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. All members of the public are welcome to speak on any issue tonight that is on the agenda. A lot of the government meetings require speaker forms, and the speaker is staring at a countdown clock telling them when to shut up and sit down. As the recipient of these policies, I've never been all that fond of them. I want everyone from the audience to feel as if this is their meeting, so if space allowable, I invite everyone to sit at the grown-ups table. If you have something to say, please get my attention, I'll slot you in. I only ask that whatever you say, that it be germane to the issues at hand and you keep it brief. We also offer an opportunity under public forum to speak on any issue under the control of the CBOC that is not on the agenda. Under public comment, with limited exceptions, the CBOC is not allowed to reply to comments or questions. I want to give everyone a chance to speak, so if you have something to say, please raise your hand or get my attention. I will try to call on speakers in the order that they get my attention. So during staff presentations, please get the attention directly from the presenter. I want to remind everyone that we're being recorded and the system isn't as great as we might like. So when you speak, please speak loudly and clearly so you can be recorded where others can hear and make out what you're saying. If a motion is to be made, the maker of the motion and the seconder needs to state their name first so that there's a clear recording of this. We need to maintain a quorum of 6 members in the room. If we have fewer than 6 for any reason, the way we conduct our meeting changes. If you leave early, or even if you have to leave for a bio break, if we fail to have the requisite quorum, the minutes will have to take note. We can continue to have presentations, but no votes. The goal of our meetings is to conclude our business in 2 hours, but if we need to extend, this will only occur with the consent of the body. If we run out of time, some items may need to be deferred to a future meeting. Please stay focused on our real purpose, to oversee the bond funds and the bond projects. Everything else is just icing on the cake, with the finances and the projects being the cake. 2 of my responsibilities at these meetings include keeping one of my eyes on the agenda while all the while keeping the other eye on the clock so we can get as much of our work completed and still get us out of here in 2 hours. I try to be liberal in my handling of remote participation and speakers, but request that my good graces not be taken advantage of. I believe it's better to be inclusive rather than exclusive. Okay. We were going to go ahead with a roll call right now. I am here. Brandon Habenar Doughton is participating remotely.
Present.
Bill Foss, here. Shama said she would be here. I'm sure she will show up. Lynn Johnson. Not here yet. Tashiana Johnson. Not here yet. Dulcie Galicia called in just a little bit ago, feeling poorly. She is participating remotely. Andrew Butt here. Tanya Vargas.
Here.
And Andrea Linden.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here in person, 2 remotely. Technically not a quorum, but we rarely vote on anything anyway, so you can go ahead and proceed. It's all right with everybody else. On the agenda itself, everybody's taking a look at it. If there are no questions or requests for changes on there, we'll just accept the agenda as presented. I love it. Item E. Public comments for items not on the agenda. Do we have any?
We do. We have a public comment card from Betsy Asher.
Betsy Basher. Floor is
That
yours.
is me.
Floor is yours.
Go.
Go.
My name is Betsy Basher. I live in the district and I have a local news website, Livable El Cerrito. And I have been following the progress on the electrical failure at El Cerrito High School. And the last time that I did a story and talked with Melissa and then Rochelle, I got information that the electrical problem required the fabrication of parts off-site. And that was going to be done over the summer. And then hopefully the work would be done over the summer and would be inspected in the fall. So what I learned at a listening meeting at El Cerrito High School on Thursday night is that the work has not been done. And I believe that the parts have perhaps not been fabricated. So I was trying to follow up on what is the status of the electrical system at the high school and the timeline for repairs. And also, it just occurred to me when I saw that this body was meeting, that is such a beautiful high school, not very old, built with a bond issue. And I just wonder if anyone is asking the question, why did this electrical failure happen in such a young building? I know you can't respond to my questions at the
Well,
time.
I've asked it as a courtesy, if Ellen would touch on this.
May I ask one quick question?
Sure.
Is there any implied warranty on the work?
Don't leave me on that.
Okay, well, that would be my question, is really, what is the implied warranty? What, it's being financed, so there must be something that will provide relief.
So while this wasn't an agendized item, I will try to give.
I'm sorry?
It's not an agendized item, there shouldn't be discussion.
I've asked if she can just give us a brief update on it. Rather than having to file a public records request and spend a ton of money and frustration, just as a courtesy.
An emergency resolution goes to the board every month, or every board meeting. So that is a common public record, that's out in the world. That is available, additional information can be released, by our communications department.
And I'm happy to partner with communications and the superintendent. I've noted your questions here. And so I'm happy to partner with them to make sure that we get a response out.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Tashiana Johnson arrived at 6:24 p.m. We now have a quorum in the room.
Looks like we have an additional, public comment. President Earthquake?
Yeah, thank you. There weren't any cards, so I have a gift for the CBOC. I have 3 copies of Win, an Insider's Guide to School Bonds. It is the 3rd edition, most up-to-date, published in 2019. It's technical, not really very exciting, but this is a good overview of how bond programs work. There is some history about how we arrived at this point. There are many points about how bond programs work, how bonds work, and there are many tips, tricks, and traps. So I'm going to give the committee 3 copies, maybe 3 people want to read it. And if you like it, maybe it could become a standard issue to CBOC members. The next is I have a handout of annual reports from the California Association of Bond Oversight Committees. And on these pages, which I will pass out, are a course description. They have a whole course on how to do annual reports. They have videos, they have frequently asked questions, they have resources. So there's many, resources in here, which I think would be great as you write annual reports. And then I've also included, I did some cleanup, and this document is quite old. It's from March. I apologize, but not gonna let it go to waste. And this was at the moment when the organization, when the CBOC was looking for reputable or bona fide tax organizations. And so I have a list here of bona fide tax organizations. Some of them definitely seem bona fide, some of them seem a little questionable, but it's just attached as a reference on the back of the document. And I will hand those out and put them out for the public as well.
What made them questionable in your mind?
What made it questionable was. Website didn't seem active, but they have a Facebook page. How's that?
Okay.
And that concludes my public comments.
Give me a moment, I'm taking notes. Any other comments pop up or requests for comments while we're talking?
I see no other hands.
All right, then why don't we go ahead to item F and tell us about the project status.
Oh, God, we have a video. I'm gonna get better at this. So let me bring up the official video version so that we can watch it. Instead of seeing the black box. Sure, everybody was intrigued about the black box on whichever slide that was.
Did you try the black box on the PDF I sent you?
I did not.
Because I had luck.
Oh, good.
At least on, I only saw one black box, but I didn't see the other one until I'm way over here, but I did have luck.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
While you're pulling that up, I just wanted to acknowledge trustee Smith Folds is online.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me again. The project status, we still have in design, Speech, Kennedy, and Richmond, with more detail to come later in the presentation. And Knoll Valley High School is still in the Division of State Architect Review. For construction, we have Lake and Shannon continuing the projects there, and we'll have presentations or pictures of those later in the presentation, as well as Speech, Kennedy, and Richmond. So for the lake rebuild, we opened a part of the building, which was super exciting. And you can see in this picture that the kids have already taken over, which is awesome. So we have chalk art all over our new playground, which is great. That's exactly what it's there for. Before the school opened, like the weekend before, but we made it. We had the planting completed and the fencing and gates installed. And so we were well on our way for the first day of school. As part of that, we also had the front plaza open. So in front of the butterfly canopy, which will be our outdoor dining area leading to the cafeteria space, there is this front plaza space. It was open for the first day of school as well. And you can see the planting that went in before that happened. And then the cafeteria space is still under construction, so we're working on that. What you're seeing here is the stain and polish that was done to the floor. So we've done concrete floors here. And when you're doing that, no other work can really be completed. So that was the majority of the work that happened. The wall protection along the walls was also installed. Part that I haven't really talked about a lot in this committee is behind the cafeteria space. So on the back side of the cafeteria, we have our service delivery for our kitchen, as well as our trash enclosure and staff parking lot. So this is one of the things that we're really excited about on this project. is previously all vehicular traffic had to come through either 11th and 12th streets. Similarly to a lot of our school sites, that was a real challenge. And so once we're complete with this side, we'll be able to have our staff enter from Manchester. And so the parking lot is coming along. As you can see here, we have the concrete curbs in, as well as the concrete apron that'll facilitate our kitchen delivery. This is the trash enclosure. But this rock area that you see here will be asphalt very shortly. The other thing that was being worked on was the accessible path outside of the Manchester entrance. So that's the work you see here. A new ramp was installed next to the existing city crosswalk.
I'm sorry, it's difficult with all the shadows and me being half blind, but what exactly are we looking at? It is a pedestrian or a car or a ramp or what?
They're installing the truncated domes. That is the accessible ramp into our site. So this is a sidewalk that goes to the site, and then we just redid a little bit of the concrete at the end to make the accessible ramp.
Yeah, so, but it's for vehicles that are smaller than automobiles.
So this is the pedestrian way. If you're familiar with Lake, it's very difficult in the neighborhood for students to access if they live south of the campus. Because there isn't a through path. Driving wise, you actually have to drive out and around quite a bit to be able to get to this campus. And there's no great walking path if we don't allow entry from the south side. So we've created a pedestrian walkway for students to access the school from this direction. It was previously there, but it was very underdeveloped. It was basically like a strange little asphalt pathway. But now it's much more formal. It's a real concrete sidewalk with the accessible ramp. And so this is how students living on that side who walk to school will be able to access the campus. So it's an important part for the neighborhood. Shannon, cafeteria rebuild. We have the form work for the concrete paving. So last month we were just finishing up the covered areas outside the doors. And this month, you can see all the wood up here. This is forming the edge of our concrete that will be poured, and you'll see that next month. Also, the canopies are painted. So here you see the raw steel. Here it's colored green to match the rest of the building.
For the record, Jean Ma arrived at 6:33. Welcome.
Checking into the kitchen, the vents and fire alarm devices are being installed in the ceiling grid, as well as the wall paneling, which is important for cleanability and health code. So those are the pieces going in here. So we're prepping to be able to install the kitchen equipment next. We also have a trash enclosure at Shannon. And so the covering, which is a code requirement, is now in. The area below is prepped for the concrete formwork. And you can see the green pipes in the back here are the drains that are also a code requirement for this facility. Soon there will be fencing installed.
Saying a code requires a covering for a dumpster?
It does.
Okay.
Because these pipes lead to the sanitary sewer, and we're not allowed to contribute rainwater to the sewer system. So it's required to have a cover over any spots where you have a sanitary system.
Okay.
Don't make the rules,
No, I'm asking.
enforce it. But I mean, a lot of people kind of wonder why we spend as much as we do on the trash enclosure, and all of them are regulation requirements that push us into building what we do for trash enclosures. This is now the 5th one I've done for the district. My informal title is Queen of Trash Enclosures.
At least you said it, I was gonna say it.
But the pipes you see along the edge, that will be supporting the fencing that will come in around the trash enclosure soon. All right, on to Stige. So Stige, we're excited. We've got another community meeting coming up. So our quarterly community meetings are continuing at Booker T. Anderson Community Center. If you would like to join us, it will be at 6:30 on September 16th. Okay. By the time it left me. As an overview, we have 3 different phases at Stige Elementary School. Phase 1 is the demolition project. This is finishing up, so we will be done with the demolition project this month. Phase 1 is a DSA project, so it's currently in design, and we have our scheduled submission to the Division of State Architects on September 19th. As soon as that comes out of the review process, we will start construction. So, but this also is the time period where we no longer control the timeline. Once it goes into DSA, it's in their court. So, as soon as it comes out of their court, that's when we'll start the utility work. And that's really what this is the underground utility work and prepping the building pads. Phase 2 is the full-fledged construction of the buildings and site. And we are at the completion of the 50% set of construction documents. Update on demolition. So as it continues to, there's no longer a vertical structure on the site. And so we are doing that, and we have a little video of the last of the foundation. So this is actually an older foundation that we knew was underneath the existing asphalt. And then we've got the one guy. You always have the one guy.
At least he didn't stop and wave at you.
Actually, that might have been fun. So the last of the concrete's coming out here. And then we also have demolished the asphalt that you see in the picture. And that's getting sorted and removed from the site. So Kennedy High School. We have multiple phases here. So 1.1 is nearly complete. Actually, it is complete. So buildings have been demolished, which is great. The site and utility preparation is underway. We will continue to work on underground utilities over the next couple months, as well as start the preparation for building pads. Similarly to our other projects, the new classroom building has been submitted to DSA, and as soon as it's out of DSA, we will be able to start that construction. We do anticipate a little bit of a gap between the end of the utility work and the beginning of the design work, but we're trying to do this work while the weather's good. So the lapse is anticipated, and exactly how long that lapse is will be dependent on how quickly we're able to get through the state. Phase 2 and 3 are modernization pieces, as well as the surrounding play fields. And those are just completing design development. Right now, if you haven't been on site, there is quite a bit of a construction zone. We did relocate the entrance for the drop-off pickup. So if you're coming into the campus at the beginning of school, this southern gate here is what you're using. There's a loop around and an exit out what was previously the entrance gate. So that has occurred. It's working pretty well. For the campus, the other big change that was made is that the connection between the existing campus and the portable campus is now around the west side of the gym instead of the east side of the gym. And that's really in preparation for us to start the construction of the 500 building, because there's another trash enclosure right here. And there will be some paving work along this space. So that's the reason for the switch.
If I wanted to go to the office as a visitor, where would I go?
The public entrance.
Okay, and where is the actual office?
The actual office is right here.
That's it, the middle building?
Yes,
Thank you.
number 12. So there is an intercom on the fence right here at that public entrance where you would push the button and it has a video connection to the front office and they'll be able to measure it.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Kennedy 1.1, 1.2, this was, part of the 1.1 project was completing the edges, where we demolished the building. So the interaction between the canopy and the 300 and 400 building needed to be, repaired and re-stuccoed. So that's what you're seeing here is the new stucco work and paint. And that's it for Kennedy. At Richmond, we do have a groundbreaking coming up. So on September 20th, we would love for everybody to come out and visit. We will be in the main front quad where the rock is. So that's where the event will take place. And so please come to join us. It's at 11 a.m. on a Saturday, the 20th. Should be a fun event. For phasing, at Richmond, right now we're working on phase 1.1. And so that is under construction. We have started in the north side to create the new entry. Soon the main part of the project will start. Phase 1.2 is submitted to DSA. That is the construction of the 2-story building. And it's in the same place that Kennedy is. We've gotten the underground utilities and the site preparation queued up. And the moment we're out of DSA, we'll be able to bid the work and start the work for the new construction of the building. But that gap again should happen here. So we will have a time period where we're not necessarily under construction. And then as soon as that approval comes through, then we'll pick up that construction project. Phase 2 is a little bit more complicated here. We've got modernization of the main buildings as well as some work at the gym. And then phase 3, we have the construction of the new administration building where the main building is being demolished. There will be several sub phases within these pieces of work, and we'll report out on those more as we get closer. So the big announcement is on September 15th, we will be changing the entry point for the campus. So the new entry point will be on this north side. The work that's going on right now and where the construction fencing is really going to create a new little visitors parking lot, as well as a new walkway in for students. So students will enter up here as well as visitors during the day. There is what we're calling a new welcome center. So a portion of the office staff will be in this corner classroom. There's a service window now that will be able to be utilized to let folks in and out of the campus securely. And it will be the stop off point before going to the main office if you need to meet with somebody. Otherwise, commonly used services will be right there at the welcome center. The staff parking lot as well as the visitor parking lot as it exists today will be closed off starting September 15th. So if you are visiting, you're either parking in the little visitor spot or the staff is going to be coming in from the north side on 24th Street. Okay. Yeah, that'll be a big change for this site. So this is the new student walkway in. So the sidewalk has been installed. You can see the poles here for new fencing that'll stop visitors from missing the door and make sure we keep our safe and secure closed campus. And so that will be our new entry spot. This is the north end of the main building. And that is the end of the presentation. So I will go.
Before you go into those.
Yeah.
Just for the crowd here, Friday before last, they had a farewell party at Richmond High School, right out in front, similar to what they had at Kennedy High School on March 15th. Just kind of say goodbye before they start bringing in the wrecking balls. It was nice. You had a lot of vendors out there selling all kinds of food and trinkets. You had the robotics team showing off their prized robot. The cheer squad was out there. They got a really good cheer squad. Very varsity and junior varsity. Marching band played. They didn't do a whole lot of marching, but it was well attended. They had a nice vibe out there. Of course, I had to take 1,000 pictures, and I made sure that the people like the cheer squad and marching band people, they said, "That's your new superintendent. Go introduce yourself." They did. So a few of them did. And I know that she appreciated that. They had a number of old alums. And I recently pulled up 72 copies of yearbooks dating back to 1905 for Richmond High School. Yeah, scanned versions of them. And, fun seeing some of this stuff. The first school campus only had 3 teachers. Some of the classes they were offering there were included stenography and Latin, of course, because we need Latin every day. But they did have physics. It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great event. It was hosted by the campus.
Ellen was there.
Just to, well, I mean, you can't miss these kind of things. Just to reassure anybody who's concerned, because I've heard it a couple times now, we are saving the rock. The rock is going to get relocated for a time, but we do have a location in front of the new building where the rock is going to go. So it will find a new home within the new design.
Since you brought that up on the board, you put little post-its on there. Things you want to get rid of, things you want to keep. And 5 out of the 7 things you want to keep were the rock.
So just to reassure everybody, we do have our status reports as well as our newsletter. In the Richmond newsletter, we did slide a little photo in there on the bottom to show the farewell party. So not necessarily one that Dawn took, but it was one Dawn facilitated. Because the cheerleaders were sitting out there and it was a good opportunity to take a picture, so.
Do I get a commission on that? Or?
Anyways, that's of course, both of our groundbreaking event as well as our community meeting were also highlighted within the newsletters. And so that concludes the staff report.
On the staff report only, not the financial report. Is there any questions from the CBOC or comments? Do we have anything online?
We do not.
Okay, and as far as the financial reports, I want to make it crystal clear that because Labor Day is essentially the end of the month, they could not even start touching the financial reports until Tuesday morning, and they needed to have them to me by sometime Wednesday afternoon. Nobody could have gotten the financial reports done in that amount of time. And still be sure that they were accurate.
We're gonna change our meeting to
Next week, it will go to the third Monday.
third, okay,
Third,
okay.
Yeah.
And we'll have the financial reports.
well,
Well, and we will have the financial reports at the joint meeting, which is next week. They're mostly prepared, so they're just being finalized. The other thing that we do over Labor Day is the business services team officially closes the books. And so we are also preparing annual financial reports. So we'll have the monthly update as well as the annual, which will kind of move us through the different fiscal years and bring that information forward for the fund program.
Melissa and I had talked about this before Labor Day. I knew what was gonna be happening. She knew what was gonna be happening. I just told her, don't worry about it. Nobody's needs to bust their rear end to do the impossible, but Melissa would have tried.
We do have one public comment on the financial reports.
And let's go ahead and call for it.
All right, President Michael.
That's me. So I just wanted to address what was written here because it seems like it might, I'm not sure it's entirely accurate. And what it says is that.
Where are you looking?
I'm
Agenda.
looking on page 7 of 81. And it's what I would call the preces to financial reports, the introduction. And it says, if reports are available for presentation at the meeting, the CBOC will be allowed to hear the reports, but because no one will have these reports with sufficient time to review them, no comments or discussions will be entertained. So, I do not have any issue or, anything about not having time to review, information. For sure, if it's just handed to you and it's complex, nobody would be expected to be able to absorb it or be able to ask intelligent questions, but I just want to make sure that you guys know that to have no comments or discussions, that as a body, you can decide to do. It's not set in stone in the Brown Act or anywhere else. If you don't have reports, then you can't ask questions. So that part, the way it's written is just a little confusing and may not be entirely accurate. And I have for you all summary of the Brown Act. This is the attorneys that the board uses to do our Brown Act and most of our Brown Act of governance and have the 2025 handbook. Yeah. So this is a summary, and what I like about this though is that they do talk about on the back page about handouts. It's just very brief. And there are some rules about handouts, which I encourage you to review, but just basically, if the whole board gets them, then the public has to get them at the same time. And there are some technicalities, but certainly you are allowed to ask questions. Should you desire, and if you as a body decides that you don't want to, that's fine, but I just wanted to make sure it was a little clearer.
But there's no reports.
And with that, I'll just pass out.
But there's no reports.
I'm sorry?
There's no reports.
Right, there are no reports.
We
That's
haven't
right.
had any for a while.
And that's that's an issue, but we'll talk about that at the retreat. And I'm complete, I don't have any ones.
Didn't hear what you were saying. Oh, well, when we get to the annual report. Okay, go ahead and go on to page 8. So we've got a series of consent items here. The information request log has not changed since September of last year, so I don't even want to waste our paper putting it in there. The meeting calendars is posted again. The rolling attendance log is posted again. Minutes from the last meeting are there. I have to advise you, they will be amended though, because we still do not have the link for the YouTube Spanish version of our meeting. I've been asking for it, but once I get it, then I can add it to the to those minutes. Okay. And there is a copy of the new member application, to renew my application. Are there any questions or comments on the consent items?
I just had a question for if it's a renewal application, is it the same process?
Yes,
That's okay. So does that mean a current CBOC member would interview?
yes. And Lynn Johnson's is up for renewal just shortly after mine is, and I've been encouraging her to fill out an application if she wants. Okay, hearing no objections, we'll go ahead and just accept the consent items. Okay, on the committee reports themselves. Item L, on the annual report. Turn things over to Tashiana, and she can.
Last meeting, we discussed that reports have not been provided to the board as of yet. Previously, we were struggling with memberships. Now we have a much larger group of people, so I decided that it would be in our best interest is to assign people, different, like, let's just get it done, okay? So here I have a topic for everybody to cover. And this is what we'll do, and we actually won't number the pages. We'll allow Dawn to put it together because of course, I
assigned him the cover, the photos, the appendix, the table of contents, and the glossary. Only because once we give him everything, then he can organize it in the way that it needs to be organized, but overall, we're doing the footwork together, you know? Virginia and Lynn Johnson, I'm just having their focal point being their profile pictures and their about you section that Don wants for all of us in the annual report. I just felt like that would be most fitting. I haven't particularly been able to get in touch with Lynn and Jez knew, so I just felt like that would be fair. But I do have them right here. Here's the golden tickets, okay? So I'm gonna hand them out if that's okay for everybody.
Why don't you go ahead and do that, and I will ask you to share those with me.
Absolutely. You can.
Actually digital one as opposed to just scraps of paper.
Yes, so if we could, I will start an email thread and I will start it off with what my assignment is. And then if everybody else could just write what their assignments are. I would love for these to be complete. They probably won't be complete by our joint meeting, okay, Ms. Reckler, okay? But they will be complete. Now we have a timeline. Now we do have some traction and the ball is moving, okay? So we try, you know?
Even if we did have them by the Wednesday of next week, we still need to put it all together and bring it back for discussion.
Absolutely. In the meantime, if you guys would prefer, Brendan actually did put together an annual report. It just wasn't worded as professionally as we thought would have liked. It didn't have like a appendix, a table of contents, things like that. But if you guys would like something to be produced by the meeting next week, I'm happy to email it to you so that you can review it, just so that we can have something on the table as a to be continued, if you'd like.
While those are getting passed out, I have a couple of comments online, if you don't mind to share.
Sure. My comments, people or just chat or what?
Yeah, we
I
have
was going
one, two chats. So one is from trustee Smith Bolts, and she said, as a board member, I enjoyed attending and celebrating. I'm assuming she's referring to the Richmond High School farewell to the quad party. And then Brendan put in the chat, I have a copy on win-win and have found it quite helpful on a number of issues we tackle in our CBOC work. I encourage my colleagues to take trustee Reckler up on her offer. So now we're up to date.
Thank you. And do you have anything else?
Nothing else.
Do we have questions?
Do we have a question?
Yes, so it'd be helpful to give us a deadline.
Tomorrow morning?
for-
Okay, you want to open negotiations now?
Realistically, I would have loved for us to have this done by our joint board meeting. But we were missing people at the last meeting, so they wouldn't have been looped in, so I decided to wait until we had everyone present for this one. Again, we don't have everybody, but those of us that are here will do. I think by our CBOC meeting next month, we should have these complete. We could probably anticipate having a rough draft submitted to Dawn possibly the week before. But I think that that's something that we can all discuss in our email thread. When is a feasible time for everyone to have a rough draft to Dawn? So then we can make corrections and have the final ready by our next CBOC meeting. Now, there's really no reason for us not to have something to produce, you know?
Great.
Thanks for doing
And I'm
this.
willing to meet for coffee and all of us can do it together if we like. And Lucy, I got you, David.
Do we have any other questions or comments on the annual report? And no comments from the public?
None of this.
Okay. On-site visits. Okay. This is sometime soon. We want to be able to go out and see Shannon and Lake, but we've been asking now for about 6 months for the Richmond High School. There've always been reasons why we couldn't get out there, and what was critical, keeping in mind, my goal is to be able to show the public that are asking me all the time why we're spending all this money on these other schools instead of their schools. we want to be able to show them the photographs plus archive of photographs and be able to explain. But all that, we wanted to do that before we started demolishing things and even putting fences up. Okay, I know that doesn't give us hardly any time, less than a week before the fences start going up. Says any way we can do something before then.
So I think we just need to understand the scope of the walk. And so if the intent of the walk is to do a full photo documentation of the existing campus, then that's something that we're gonna need to partner with our communications team to do, because that isn't the space for construction at this time. If it's related to doing a site walk for the area where we're doing the work, then we would do it as we normally do, confirm a time when people would like to walk, and then work with staff to coordinate the time to do that.
Okay, I don't recall us ever asking for a full campus review, just the project that we've got right now. But
So just to be clear on the project that's happening right now, the only demolition that we're talking about is actually the demolition of the concrete out front. So no building will go down during this process. The only structure that's coming down are a few of the site walls next to the theater building, as well as the solar panels. So those are the only structures that will be removed during this. Otherwise, we will be removing the concrete in front of the main entrance, as well as the asphalt within the visitor parking lot and the staff parking lot. And that will be making way for the new two-story building.
okay, but even the erection of the fences. You want to be able to take pictures of the campus. With the fences on there, it changes everything. The day after the farewell party, I showed up on that Saturday and saw the crew out there with the new fences and what sure looked like demolition at the time, because there were things that were no longer there that were there a few months ago. Some of the tables, benches, stuff like that. There were all kinds of signage leaning up against the front of the building. It was obvious it was a construction zone already. Those are things that when we're taking photographs, especially trying to archive, we want to be able to see it before and after. And we lost it before. We've had this at some of the other campuses. Kennedy High School, by the time we got in there, it was gutted already. But anyway, I said, we've been asking for a very long time. We'd sure appreciate it. We will try to set up some date and time when we can make sure this happens.
So we can walk it on Friday the 12th in the afternoon.
That works great for me, because
That works for me.
you got a school board meeting on Wednesday. I've got a union meeting on Thursday. Fridays, yeah. We're out again.
We'd want to do it after dismissal, so probably 3:30 everything would be cleared by then.
Where would you want to meet?
We can meet in the visitors parking lot.
We don't know where that is.
Let me share the screen, or no, well, here, I'll get a aerial.
You said 3:30 Friday, Ellen?
Yes.
This Friday?
I'll be there.
I'll get in touch with everybody to make sure they're invited and see who wants to be there.
Would 4 o'clock be pushing it a little too far?
I'm sorry,
I could also do 4 o'clock, if that works better for the committee.
Just because my kids get out at 2:40, and so 3:30 is just a little tight. You never know what's happening on Friday. I'm school. No, you know how long they take to come home.
no,
Or I could always meet everybody there.
I have no idea about kids.
Well, I'm sorry, Dawn. I'll introduce you to mine. Love them.
Mine should be coming to the groundbreaking, so
Oh,
anyway,
that's gonna be
we're excited.
part of Donnie daycare. You'll get to know all the kids.
All right, so this is 23rd Street. This is the existing theater.
Okay,
The visitor parking lot is
All right.
this little parking lot right here.
all right, good to know. I learned something.
Oh. Okay. That
Two
will
of
be
us
the
will
parking
start.
lot that will be closed come the 15th, but we
Okay.
get to use it one last time for the good of the order. Everybody loves using the parking lot one last time. We did have, I noticed a comment online. Let's pull that up. I can't read it this far away, so I'm gonna pull it back over here. Oh. It sounds like Brendan will be able to, attend on Friday.
Okay. Okay, anything else on the site visits?
Oh, looks like I might have not shared my screen. So for those online, 23rd Street, existing theater, the solar panels right out in front of the solar panels, the visitor parking. Oh, did I do wrong? Did wrong screen? Sorry about that. Okay. So one more time for the good times, 23rd Street's here. This is the existing theater and the visitor parking lot is just west of the solar panels. Here. Okay.
Okay. All right. Next item is item N. And keep in mind that this was put out before the agenda setting session for the joint meeting. Did not know exactly what was going to happen at that meeting by the time I had to turn this in. But, you know, I've been around for a while, so I can't recall just how many times I've spoken of the value of our joint meetings with the Board of Education. But unlike pretty much everyone else, I've had the benefit of attending and even leading these joint meetings dating back a couple of decades. There were times when the board and the CBOC were treated as equals. That is, for example, when setting the agendas, both sides were given equal consideration to bring up items that were important to them. There were times when the two leaders would share which items were brought up. There were even times when the board president volunteered to have the CBOC chair present all of the agenda items at the joint meeting. Then there were also the times when the staff would decide which items would be on the agenda. There were times when the board president actually shut down the CBOC chair because he did not follow the board president's very specific rules that separated comments from questions. There were times when the board president declared that the most important agenda item coming from the CBOC wasn't important enough, even though it had been suggested numerous times. Always said that one of the real values of the joint meeting is that the two bodies can have an open dialogue about the issues with a give and take between the two sides. And even though the board meetings have sometimes gone past midnight, these days, these joint meetings are brief meetings. Keeping in mind that the lost productive time that comes from the opening and closing ceremonies and the fact that there are possibly 15 or more speakers on each item, there may be less than 1 minute allowed for each speaker. With the rules set in place as they are, these joint meetings are not nearly as productive as they might be, especially when full attendance from both parties is not a given. We have missing people from the board and missing people from the CBOC. In a more perfect world, the Board of Education and the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee would be a partnership working towards the same goal. I invite each of you to ask yourself whether, after we conclude next week's joint meeting, if they believe that we really see each other as partners. And if you see us as partners, do you see us as equal partners? Lastly, just a reminder, at the meeting, be nice. We want a collaborative meeting. That was a word used quite a few times at the during the agenda setting. But on these items themselves, not everything was accepted. Out of the 7 items that we preferred, 2 of them we weren't even brought up because we ran out of time. And then the board had 3 items themselves. But just briefly on this, and I do mean briefly because we want to get out of here a reasonable hour. I said the first item of amending the scope of the bond program performance audits. The goal was to open up a dialogue so that CBOC could explain to the board what we might need when we have performance audits. It's still up to the board to set the contract, set the scope of what the performance audit contains. But At the time, I will explain what used to be the case and what happened, why it happened when it was downscoped tremendously. So that the CBOC really did not have much of a chance to speak with the performance auditors. All right, the second item was talking about the 2005 Measure J bond funds. That was decided that it would not be discussed at that meeting. Okay, item 3 was convincing the Board of Education and district staff to treat volunteer committee members with more respect. That was decided not to be included. Items 4 and 5 were combined. Better direct FAI investigation. If you want to know a little bit more about how it came about, what was included in there, what happened, and why we're even bringing this up, I can bring it up to you right now. Or we can just move on. Okay. Do we have any questions or comments on this? On the joint meeting? The joint meeting will be held here in this room as opposed to Dijon, where we can actually hear each other and understand each other. That is a critical part. One second. And it will start at 6:30 p.m. Go till 8:30 p.m. Yes, okay.
I would like to hear more about the 2016 report FAI.
Okay.
It's just, if we're gonna talk about it,
We had a district employee that felt that there were things, some improprieties going on with the bond program at the time. A lot of allegations that he was a disgruntled employee because he was passed over for a major promotion. I don't know that, but some people took what his allegations as gospel, other people dismissed them. The board authorized $968,000 of borrowed money from the bond program to pay for the investigation, the audit itself. For 16 months in a row, I pointed out that we had always been told that bond money could not be used for audits, it had to come from the general fund, 16 months in a row. Then all of a sudden, we were told, oh, our city attorney says we can't use bond money, so they had to pay a large part of that money in that bond program. But there were also a lot of other expenses involved with the investigation, which included attorney fees, investigators. My estimate was that was spent close to $1.8 million. It was they were willing to spend up to $3.2 million. I say that those numbers are very high because the borrowed money, you have to pay the interest. It's with that original, say, $1 million, $968,000, the payback alone would have been about $1.4 million on there. It was a 1,756 page report. It really wasn't presented to the public with very much time before the public meeting on it, 9 days. When it came time for the presentation, even though there were 112 items of recommendations in that report, the public was only allowed 90 seconds each to comment or question on it. 90 seconds. Typically, and no written comments until after it was voted on. They said, oh, we'll take written comments. But you had 2 members of the board says, we're not going to read them. We've already voted. It's over and done with. But then there was a question about the 112 items, a certain percentage of those, let's just say half, just throwing that out there, that staff was saying that they were done. And the bottom line was that they had to end up hiring another auditor to investigate just how well done they were. Were they really done, complete done, or not? And they've been looking at that for quite some time. We had a committee, I can't even remember what the committee was called, that was supposed to be meeting to review those. It hasn't met in quite some time. It was supposed to be an oversight body on that. Nothing happened on that. But the idea is to bring us back and find out what the status of those are. If they truly are done, that is one thing. If they are no longer applicable, and many of them are not applicable anymore, We no longer do something that way. So there's no, any suggestion that we fix that little part of it is meaningless. But just putting it to bed without knowing that may not be appropriate as far as the oversight of the bond program. That is what we are supposed to do. Is to look over those 112 items to determine just where do we stand on that, possibly make a report to the board on that. Any other questions?
Do you have a comment?
I have public
I
comment.
figured we would. Go ahead.
So I have a different recollection of committees, Board of Education and district staff to treat volunteer committee members with more respect. I certainly have great reservation and great concern about that being on the agenda. Because I want to make sure it goes well and it's handled properly. And, you know, my personal opinion is that those things are not handled on the camera, but I don't have a recollection of it being killed. And so what I would ask you to do is to follow up with Melissa, who was also at that meeting, to get her interpretation of how that discussion
I asked for that already.
followed up and on complete.
Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
For item number 2, when it speaks to the 2005 Measure J bond fund, part of the conversation was that there is an annual report that KNN, our municipal advisor, provides to the board. And we're planning for that to happen in either October or November. And so after that presentation goes to the board, we talked about bringing KNN here to the CBOC to make the same presentation and to be able to provide additional information for that item. And so it was part of what we looked at that meeting was just the time that we had too, and really trying to respect to ensure that there was enough time to discuss the items.
And most of that I've already relayed to the CBOC members privately. And I shared that with them. I'm not trying to keep things from them.
It was on the agenda at the meeting. I just wanted to mention that I didn't know that.
Okay, anything else on this? And no other comments? That popped up?
I've seen that.
Okay. I'm trying to keep track of. Make sure I don't skip any pages. Okay. On the items we have. Yeah, from the CBOC, on the performance audit, I know pretty much what we're talking about on there. I would prefer I'd present that. But on the other items on there, the combination of 5 and 6, does somebody else want to make that presentation? That would be the direct communication between the district, community, and the media, or expanding outreach and community engagement with regards to the bond program and bond funds. I'm not saying, offering if anybody wants to. And I'll work with them if they want to on that.
I think that so that's for number 3, correct? Commence the Board of Education and district staff with true volunteer committee members with full respect.
That's,
I think that that's just kind of aligning with just understanding that we were trying to rebuild, you know, we don't want annual reports to take forever. We don't want anything to take forever. We really just want to work collaboratively with you guys. It's never intended to be hostility or combativeness or anything of that sort. It's really just collaboration, and sometimes the pressure feels kind of heavy if we still don't have this, but we also, as volunteers, don't have the capacity to take something that's 500 pages and do it at home, when part of the requirements for us sitting on this committee is having children, being a part of PTAs and EMACs and all of these other spaces, you know, so showing us that grace, you know, and getting us things in a timely manner where we all can review it, discuss it, and then come back to you guys with something great, you know? That's all it is, it's just understanding. We're understanding to the shortages, all of these different things within the district. So it's just being understanding. We've had 1, 2, 3, about 5 new memberships since we last spoke about, had a very robust conversation about annual reports, you know, so we are actively engaged with our community and inviting people to join our meetings and join our committee. So I believe that that's really all it is taking the that we're saying and actually processing it rather than becoming offended or hostile or anything of that sort. And that goes for us as well, you know? Nothing should be internalized. This is all something that we all signed up for, that we're all doing, right? So take feedback as constructive rather than as a direct pun, what I should say. And where else are we? Communication between the district and the community and the media, that's a whole different conversation for a whole different day. Because even as I was going in trying to research things, as I always do when I get here, the last update that we've had to one of our pages was 2010. You know, so we're trying to do things in a timely manner, but we also can't, some pages can't be found because communications is working on the website. But the ones that can be found are from years and years and years ago, you know, so this communication problem is something that stems from years before us. So how can we move forward from here to make it better? The community would definitely be more involved if they could find the information that they're looking for. And the things that you guys have been doing, the steps that you've been taking to provide videos and the town hall meetings, the can we talk, all of those different things, those are so many steps in the right direction. So, but if we could just follow through with all of it and not just start it, but actually follow through with it, I feel like the community would be a lot more engaged. There are so many people that want to know updates about Siege, about Richmond High, about Kennedy. There are alumni within those schools that are very serious about their schools, you know? So I think that it's just taking some time, but as long as you guys keep following through with all of this, it'll show progress and it'll show engagement, you know? Tracking listening funds for the district and the CBOC don't repeat mistakes in the past, which is what I just touched on pretty much, you know? Again, we can't find the last actual report that I found on our CBOC website that had been uploaded was from 2020. Anything before that was from 2010. Those are 10-year gaps, you know? So that doesn't just fall on us. We don't upload things to the website, you know, so once we provide them, then they do have to be uploaded. There's years of reports that still need to be uploaded. Even when we do produce this report and give it, there are still several other reports that are missing from several other years. So realistically, this particular year isn't the only issue. You know, it's still gonna be incomplete until all of them have been uploaded.
Can't upload something you don't have anymore. Things that just fall through the cracks and disappear over the years.
Is there no archive of the ones that have been produced in years previously?
That's a good question.
I mean, based on whoever was the chairs or, you know, there's no email archive, there's nothing.
So we have an extensive archive. So the transition of the website to the new web platform is something that is ongoing and is happening now. If there are things in particular that you are looking for or that you need in preparing the report, one of the things that we've always done is if you let us know what you need, then we'll be sure to provide it. So we have an electronic archive. Transitioning the website is something that the communications team is working on. And so we can ask them for an update on that. But the information is available. And so, you know, I think that we do take all of the comments very seriously and really try to implement them. We heard at the last CBOC meeting that when we send out a flyer for a community event, we need to include an agenda. And so that has been done for the next Siege community meeting. We have an agenda. We heard feedback that it would be great to incorporate videos. We've done that. Essentially, our entire suite of financial reports has been something that's been done in partnership with the CBOC. We knew that financial reports, kind of the historical suite was a challenge. And so we have the online reporting portal where the financial reports or the projects are available to anyone at any time with the most up-to-date information. And so we strive to continue to partner to deliver on the things that create the opportunities for engagement and outreach at every level. And so, I mean, I think that's something that we do want to continue to partner on. One of the things that we did talk about during agenda setting is it's really helpful for us to have something that is a little bit more concrete. So like, for example, in the examples that we just talked about, when we receive feedback about something that we can do better that speaks to something that we're doing now, and then like, here's the challenge and here's a proposed solution, that really helps us because it gives us a pathway forward and it helps us then look at, okay, what are we doing and how can we do something more, right? How can we do something better? And so that is really, really helpful. And so, you know, one of the things that we talked about with these items is just what are those examples of the things that would continue to demonstrate our commitment to being responsive and really trying to deliver the information in a way that it is accessible and available. The website's going to take a little bit of time. So that's not going to, you know, that's not a switch that's going to flip overnight, but we do have an extensive electronic catalog here that goes back 10 years. There is a former CBOC member who shared with the district kind of his library, which I anticipate goes back quite a few decades. And so we have the materials available, but I think part of the planned process was to let communications kind of migrate and move the things over. And then if there is anything missing, we can go to the hard copy files to pull them and to make sure that that is complete. And so, but I would say, if there are things that you need right now for the annual report, or if there's something in particular that you're looking for, just let us know what it is. We have the CBOC kind of records request, and you know, one of the other former CBOC members, Ms. Humes, when she was working on annual report, she would say, can you send me some pictures, or can you send me this piece of information, so that it was available for the annual report, and we would pull those together. And so, I mean, we're happy to provide that administrative support because we don't want it to be difficult. We do really want to support you. And so I think as long as we have open communication, and then for us, if it's communication that kind of provides that pathway to really understand what you need, there may be instances and there may be situations where something that's being asked for, there's other considerations that we have to make as a district in terms of like safety or protocols or other kinds of things where we may have to partner on, this is what's being asked and this is what we can accommodate. So let's work together to make sure that we're really being responsive to the ask, but that we're also being responsible in making sure that we're like adhering to those other considerations as well. And I think we've been really transparent about that. And you know, we want to have the opportunity to continue to do that. So.
Absolutely, I completely agree with everything that you're saying. I believe I was just talking in another space and we were saying, we don't want to just bring all of these problems, right? We want to bring a solution with that problem, to make it a bit easier to who we're complaining to about it, right? So I absolutely agree with you on that, and I appreciate all of the steps that you guys have taken thus far, you know? So we're trying to do our part now that we have a bigger team, and we absolutely are trying to get you guys the reports that you need. I know me for sure. I joined the CBOC and I was like, oh, this is completely different than what I thought, but I'm thankful for it as well. You know, a lot of information. But that's also why it'll lead me into my next theme of processing a flow chart for the community. So that we can get their input on the construction projects as well. And how it might intersect with the goal of boosting the community member attendance at our CBOC meetings. I really think that like the more involved our community is with these projects, the more they feel like they're being heard. And that their input is being received by us, the more they will say, you know what, I gotta go to that CBOC meeting, you know? And then we will know more about what our families are thinking about these projects, not just all of us, you know? And we will have more attendance online because we need those questions. We need that Q&A, you know? I think that we're going in a positive direction, but maybe creating a flow chart. I know I would be happy to get feedback and add to the flow chart, you know? I'm sure that we have people here as well that would be happy to add input as well. And maybe we can just email it to you or maybe email it to somebody. That's something that we can discuss how to move forward with it if we decide to. But all in all, I'm trying.
No, and I would say, not trying, doing. I mean, we're really appreciative of the progress being made. You know, the CBOC, it's named in statute, and really the focus of the CBOC is the review of the expenditures of bond dollars to make sure that it's in accordance with the bond language, to make sure that it's an allowable expense. So for a lot of reasons, it's a very technical committee. And so some of the ways that we try to bring these projects to the community, they're in different forms, right? So we have back to school nights coming up, and so we're going to be at back to school nights. There's staff meetings that happen. And even within those staff meetings, there's kind of like specific focus groups because people bring kind of a different lens and perspective and experience and expertise. And we have found sometimes in smaller groups, it really creates an opportunity where more people feel comfortable to really share that input. And so a lot of times, Ellen will give a very similar presentation 6 or 7 times because it's taking the time to take it to all of those different spaces and creating opportunities where those comments can really come forward kind of from that lens and from that focus. And so I think the Stage project has brought with it through the board's resolution, right, these quarterly meetings and having quarterly meetings that are named and right, it goes to the quarterly meeting and then it also comes to the board. And I also appreciated during agenda setting when we talked about like, this is something really important and this is something that we bring to the board meeting. It was like, okay, but then let's also bring that here to the CBOC. And so I think, you know, people kind of participate in different forums and different spaces as it kind of maybe accommodates their life and their expertise and their experience as well. And so, you know, we're committed to bringing it to different spaces as well. And I guess what I want to finish by saying is just thank you, right? I remember one of the first things that you shared is like having a video and bringing some of the work that we're doing to life a little bit, and that could attract broader audiences and perspectives as well. And that's kind of become like the new thing, right? Like every time we're getting ready for the meeting, we're like, okay, what video can we bring forward? Like, how can we put additional information on the socials? And so, you know, we really appreciate the honesty and the recommendations and the questions that come forward, because I think, you know, when we enter the space, we enter as partners, but also as learners. Like we want to listen to what you have to say and really learn about ways that we could potentially look at our work differently to bring it alive more broadly. So you know, we are very thankful and we are kind of like ears wide open. So
I appreciate that. And you guys definitely have provided so many different options for people since that meeting. I had, and I really appreciate it. Even my son watching, he was like, oh, Mom, that's the excavator, you know, and kids love that kind of stuff, you know, so.
Grown-ups do too.
Yeah, absolutely, you know, and it just creates like a wider audience, not just adults, kids too, you know, they love watching demo especially, you know, so I think that's amazing. Even when we did the walkthrough in Hercules and you guys were explaining the different lines within the building, the wall, that was something so amazing that I was like, well, I wish I could record this and post it because that's what our world is now, kind of, you know, and I really appreciated that explanation and I feel like everybody else would as well, you know, so great job, guys.
We're gonna continue to crank it up, so let us know.
All right, and we will have that report from you guys next month.
I have a couple of follow-up questions. Just like, what is the expected timeline of completion of the website? Do we have?
So I'll have to ask our communications team. And so I'm happy to follow up with them after this meeting. And then hopefully, you know, we can bring some of those answers to our joint meeting that's just about a week away.
Thank you. And the next one's is like, also like, how long does it request take for a request of information take with the district?
So, it's a great question. It's probably got a more complicated answer. And so I think, you know, there's the Public Records Act request, and so you can make a Public Records Act request to the district. There's actually an email. I want to get it right, but I think it's publicrecords@wccusd.net. And so those Public Records Act requests are received and then they're distributed to the particular department to provide it. Under the Public Records Act request, you provide records that exist. And so if you are requesting a report and the report exists, it's like, okay, here's the report. One of the things that we did in partnership through the board policy for the CBOC, and you see it named here in the packet, is there's a like CBOC member Public Records Act request where we kind of like carved it to the side and said, if there's something that a CBOC member is requesting for their committee work, right, within the committee's purview, then you can make that request. And then, you know, that's information that we're bringing to the meeting in alignment with the ed code of like bringing that information forward to the committee in support of your work, right, as committee members. And so that's a side process for items, you know, under the purview of the CBOC. And so then what's nice about that is we publish that log, right? So it's included in the packet. And so it'll identify, you know, here's who made the request, here's what they requested, and here's when they requested it. There have been things that have been requested that weren't provided right away. But what was provided was like the explanation of the why, right? What are we working on? What is the time frame to do something like that? So, I mean, that's another avenue that's open, kind of specific to CBOC and is named in board policy. And so, albeit that's probably not a great answer, I think, you know, the intention is, you know, some requests are real simple, right? Because it's a request, it's available, we have it, it's easy to provide. And then there are others that, you know, for a variety of reasons might just take a little bit longer. I think it's kind of like case by case.
Is there anything in particular we need to put in a public records request other than our name and what we're requesting? Is there anything else?
So is that speaking like specifically to a district-wide process or like for CBOC?
Either or, is it the same process or?
So the district process is different and that's kind of subject to a different statute. And so I wouldn't want to give incorrect or misleading information. But what I would say is they have a dedicated email, public records at wccusd.net. That might be a good way to reach out. And then, you know, similarly, you know, we're here as district staff too. And so there was, you know, a question that was asked earlier in the meeting that wasn't, you know, in the purview of CBOC and wasn't agendized, but I've already followed up with the, you know, internally in the district and said, you know, hey, here's something we'd like more information on. Similarly, you and I have connected on things kind of outside of the committee. And one of the things we want to do is help connect you guys with the resources that you need, you know, just as district staff.
Right.
And so we're happy to do that. So I don't want to give incorrect information.
So just for
Um,
the CBOC, we just start naming what we're requesting.
Yeah, so for CBOC, it's really simple. And so that's an email that, you know, you can just send to me. I am the staff CBOC liaison, and we have President Reckler, who's also CBOC liaison. And so, and then, you know, we'll put it here, and of course, we'll try to get it to you as quickly as possible.
It's also very helpful to CC the chair, so I'm kept in the loop of those kinds of requests. If I can on that, the log that she spoke of is a much less formalized thing than a public record request, which is a legal item on there. And my history with that is the district has been largely very responsive to that. So the only reason I haven't included it in the packet, because it just, there hasn't been anything even asked for in well over a year. It's kind of like, why do you care about something from that long ago? I mean, I can share that with you, and you let me know if you think we want to keep it in the agenda packet every time. I'll start adding it. But they've been very good on that. When it comes to the regular Public Records Request Act, you know, I'm gonna say that I have between 8 or 10 outstanding public records requests dating back 5 or 6 years. By law, they have to notify you within a specified period of time. I thought it was 10 days. I could be mistaken on that they've received it. Okay, guess how many of those I've received? 0, bupkis. It's like, and school district is no different than the city council, the East Bay Regional Park District. It seems like almost every small government body, there's a big black hole somewhere where public records requests just get dumped in there. If we don't get a response. Sometimes they're very minor items because we just can't find it on the website. But other times they're a little bit more complex. But again, those go through, actually, I believe that they go through the Dr. Moses. It goes through her department, and then she disperses them as necessary. But it's difficult to get information. But this, as far as the stuff specifically for the CBOC, it's a very informal process. And I do request, you don't have to do things for a public record request, but anything you request, you know, from the, as far as the CBOC, again, I appreciate you keeping me in the loop so that I know what's going on. And that way I can make sure that it actually gets addressed too. It's a checks and balances system. Yeah. Anything else on this? Okay, we've got 3 items left on the agenda. I'm gonna give a very brief chair report. I gotta tell you, over the past couple of months, I've been getting very depressed with the inability to get anything done. Dealing with staff, dealing with some of the board members. This communication has been virtually dead. I send out emails, I send out texts, and just no responses. It's getting very frustrating to get things done, and sometimes very, very serious pushback. I think I mentioned to you, I've received notifications from some of the board members that there's an active effort to keep me from getting back on this, on the CBOC. That kind of depresses you, doesn't it? But that's their choice on that kind of thing. But it is difficult when we just can't seem to communicate, even with the communications department. Okay? You send something to the communications department, not to the communications director, but the communications department, you get an automated ticket that's sent back to you. Usually about 10 minutes later, I get back a second item resolved. You haven't done anything at all except record it on your log. It gets frustrating. It's just difficult to continue on. It seems like what you're doing, you're having to fight all of the time. I'm just letting you know about this. Yeah. Don't expect any kind of response or resolution or anything, but it is frustrating. Okay, is there any public comment on that coming from the CBOC?
Yes, I have a question. For the travel, a note, when I was traveling and I cannot respond or cannot attend a meeting, and what should we do?
do the best you can. I mean, if you can't respond, I mean, you can't respond. If there's any way to just, okay, letting me know. Yeah, this is a situation, I don't have access to email or text or something like that. Anything you can do, it is helpful.
It's like, my family travel, will go abroad to China, like, maybe cause like 2 weeks or something, like, December or January. So I just, let you know the travel plan, like when I will not, and then like, I will be marked at the leave related, travel, like, to attend meeting or something.
Whatever you know, if you let me know as chair,
Uh,
at least for the rest of the year, I appreciate it. You let me know that you're gonna be here for this meeting. I appreciated that.
thank you.
But in the past, you've also told me you cannot make it there, but you would dealing with the meeting remotely. I appreciated that. It's just, it's handy knowing, that we were not waiting around, or just wondering, were you abducted by aliens and moved up, beamed up to the mothership? We just don't know. So anything you can do is appreciated greatly, at least by me.
So if I could add, in the packet on page 54 is the meeting dates through the end of December. And so if you know in advance, you can just share in advance.
Yeah,
And
that's what I, yeah,
You have it?
yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
perfect, yeah, so these are our planned meetings. And as mentioned earlier in the
Yeah.
meeting, starting in October, yes,
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 yes.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Through the end of December. And so the change is in October, instead of being the second week, we're moving to the third week. Which will help, ensure that we have the financial reports in the packet. And so, yeah, so you can just send an email. These are the dates that we plan for.
Thank you. Yeah, I figured out the October, November is the third Monday.
Mhm.
Well,
Thank you.
You changed it.
we ran into a little bit of a problem with between the November, December, you know, we got holidays in there. So we just had to make adjustments on there, but those are the dates that we have. And even that third Monday in October, it had really less to do with us changing our meeting dates, is the fact that the second one is a holiday. So the school district gonna be shut down for Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Are we gonna be able to get financial reports by the third week?
Yeah, we've provided them for the last couple of meetings.
No, really?
We have, the change has been that historically district staff put together the agenda packet, and so we had until Friday. CBOC Chair, Gosney puts together the packet, and so we need to have everything finalized and provide to him Wednesday. Which I'll be honest, is a lot of times Thursday morning. And so for a couple of the meetings, because we didn't meet that date, we brought the reports to the meeting and I presented them here. And so we've had them for the last couple of meetings, and again, we would have had them today. It's just due to the holiday. It basically gave us one day to produce them all. And so we have all of the reports. I've actually reviewed them. So we'll have them at the joint meeting. One of the things we talked about in agenda setting was that we really wanted to honor the time for the joint meeting for discussions. And so they're all just going to be attached and available. I won't be presenting them in terms of here's the reports and here's what to read them. All that information will be available. But we will be providing an update on some of the steps that we've taken since the last joint meeting to improve kind of the timeliness and some efficiency with them.
Anything else? Okay, move on to P, future agenda items. Does anybody have anything I want to add? The things we've already got on the list. And keep in mind, you do not have to just tell me now. Anytime in the next 3 weeks, just give me a call, send me an email, send me a text, and I will add it in a heartbeat. And if we can throw it on the next agenda, we will do that. Always have to make a choice on prioritizing which items are more time sensitive and what can we fit in the limited amount of time that we have. Last meeting, I think we had 4 or 5 items that we had to defer to future meetings because we ran out of time. And I hope you guys noticed, last month at the meeting, we weren't able to start till like 6:29 because we had technical issues with the Zoom. And Ellen has worked those things out long before 6:15, I mean, 6:13 even. So that we were able to start right on time, because when we start right on time, then we can get out of here sooner, because you all have families. I don't have a life. I don't have a family to get to. I just got dinner to get to. And it's gonna, as long as I can throw it in the nuclear oven even at midnight, I'm good. But I want to respect that all of you may have to go home and get to your families. So I appreciate what Ellen did to try to get the Zoom meetings going as quickly as possible. You did great today. Okay, so we don't have any future agenda items. The last item on our agenda is adjournment. Okay, our next meeting is next Wednesday, week and a half from now, the joint meeting right here at 6:30 p.m. Okay,
How many people will be attending?
well, potentially,
Is there big enough, you're gonna do it like this format?
yes. Yeah, potentially you've got 10 members of the CBOC, 5 members of the board. That's 15 right there. You've got various staffers, but it includes more staffers than what we've got here. So I may not have the luxury of spreading myself out like this. May have to squeeze in a little bit, but we've been able to do it without any problem here. And if you ever attend our actual board meetings at Dijon, you will appreciate the fact that you can actually hear what's going on. Because at Dijon, even if you can hear mumbling, you can't understand what they're saying. That's why half the people they got earbuds, or like me, I've got my headphone. We can hear things fine on Zoom. And so they're checking and they're watching it on this, sitting in the audience and watching it on their phone, or me, I'm watching it on the laptop. That's all fine. I have to go speak it, throw the headphones down and walk up there. But it is difficult. It's just a bad audio system there. But this will be, my opinion, better for us all. Okay, and then our next regularly monthly meeting is Monday, October 20th, and that will be at 6:15 again. I want to thank everybody for coming. Take note just how early it is, because I guarantee this won't happen again for a while.